Welcome to Inside Builder channel, large language model automators, Python experts, and my dear friends. Simplifying Python code deployment with Gradio. Interactive demo with Gradio that is production ready. So what is the problem that we are facing and how are we going to solve it? You guys must have already started working with lots of large language models like various open source models, whether it is OPT or MPT, and you want to create applications that is customer facing or user facing, or it could be an application that you want to create it for your own internal team's purpose. Most of the applications, that is at least with respect to the open source models, you can easily interface with Python. And in Python, once you have the interface, the code is easy to write. But creating the front-end interface can be a bit of a challenge. Gradio comes to rescue for that particular activity. So when it comes to creating the front end, we have to learn about the UI, how to place the UI components, how to create an interactive experience for the user. So these are series of problems that anybody faces when you want to create a good looking application. What if that entire process of creating the front end and then connecting it with backend has been automated or abstracted from your site? So Gradio is one such Python library. Thanks to Hugging Face team for creating this library, and it is open source. The alternate is Streamlit. So I have been covering Streamlit in my playlist. If you take a look at this playlist where I discuss about mastering Python ecosystem, I discuss about Streamlit, and I also discuss about various other related Python libraries which might be of use to you guys. So take a look at that. Since I am I'm expecting that you are working with AI models and ML models. I am expecting that you will want to deploy these models on the internet, or at least with a good front end. So that is why I'm thinking about Gradio. But if you are only going to work with Python related code, and if you are not that much going to get involved with ML models and AI models, I would suggest that you can go with Streamlit. Yeah, Streamlit still has a way to load the model and host it. There are some changes that I will be explaining in a couple of minutes after we go through the process. So without further ado, so this is the homepage where you can learn about Gradio, and you can see the various details about the tool. So there is a quick start. If you can click at the quick start, it will allow you to understand about Gradio at a very high speed. So by end of scrolling through this quick start and then the key features and sharing your app. So these 3 pages, once you complete it, you will be able to create good looking apps using Gradio, and that too you can create it in Collab Notebook. So before I start working on this code, let me actually show you what is possible, what we are going to do today. We are actually going to build an application that is called as Playing with Words. It's a Madlib application. So what we're going to do is, so there are 4 text boxes, and so we are going to say the verb, so walking. It is asking for a verb, so I'm saying walking, and this is asking for a noun, so I am saying Thompson. And in this text box, it is asking me for an adverb, so I will say quickly. And it is asking for an adjective in this, so I'm going to say gracefully, with grace. Okay, so I'm giving 4 words in these text boxes, and below I have a button called as Make Mag. So I'm going to click that, and the moment I click it, you see there is an output that comes at the bottom. Let me zoom in a bit so that you guys can see. So these are the various words I had provided. And if I delete this, you will see the placeholder. So you see the noun here, and I am providing the data, providing the text there. And once I click on make mad, it's going to make something mad sentence out of it. So, do you, Thompson, you are quickly walking with grace. I mean, it's trying to create sentences that is totally, it doesn't make sense, and it's also hilarious at the same time. So, how this text box, so you see here, anybody who has worked with Python, you must know that making such a sentence is actually easy with Python, and to get 4 input from Python script, and then making this should be pretty straightforward. But the interesting part is to create such a user interface, and not just that, after you create it, you can actually share it with the world also. So before I go dive deep into the code and share with you how it is being done, I would like to further explain a bit about Gradio. Gradio, as I was telling you, is a Python library, and you can start working with various other applications also in Gradio. It's not just this is the only application available. So the point I want to make here is that how Gradio solves the challenges. First of all, Gradio has 2 different classes, main classes called as interface and blocks. So these classes create kind of both front end and back end for you guys. So once you want to create a front end text box, so the text box will also connect with the back end text related input also, and that input can be used by your Python programs and functions. The interface class or the blocks class will wrap around the inputs, outputs, and the functions. So the moving part of this Gradio is the functions, the Python functions that you write. I will explain to you what is going on there. The Gradio model, the Gradio application can contain AI and ML models also, and these models can be still located in Hugging Face Hub. So if you guys are new to Hugging Face Hub, you have not yet signed up, you have not learned about that, there are lots of videos that I have placed in my own playlist and my own YouTube channel. Take a look at that. You will find a good deal of information there. Do sign up for Hugging Face Hub, and you will get to work with lots of interesting ML and AI models. So the functions drive. So Python functions do the operations. Parameters must match the inputs, and the return values match the output. So function is kind of the black box or the actual operator which takes in inputs and gives output. The click interaction will trigger the function. The data gets collected from all the kinds of inputs that is available in the app at that moment. And deployment, it can be on locally on your own local LAN, or it can be deployed over the internet using ngrok tunneling mechanism. Now, this particular Gradio tool can be linked with any of the Python application, any of the Python code. So whether it is a really complicated code or a simple code that I showed you, so it's a single function code, you can actually link it. So there are a couple of places where you can try to practice with Python code, that is learn Python the hard way, learn problem solving through code, and exercises for programmers 57 challenges. So these 3 books, I personally use it, and I would suggest that you guys can take a look at these 3 books, and you can use you can use the challenges that is provided in this book, and then you can link it with Gradio. So this is something that you can try, because most of the time when you are creating exercises, you will write Python scripts which are taking the input from the command prompt. Now, for a change, you can take the input from the front end, and you can actually share the front end with your friends, with your colleagues, and with your college mates. And not just that, if you want to actually create a kind of a project which interacts with various other parts in your project, then Gradio can be a great tool. So you can dive really deep into this particular tool. I am just scratching the surface of this tool. And I will also try to create a chatbot in the next video to explain to you what can be done with done with Hugging Face Hub, Gradio, and Python together. So a couple of examples, challenges is counting the number of characters in the given text. Who said it quotes. You can create a Mad Lib. So this is the example that I'm using. I'm using 4 input texts and I'm trying to create a sentence. You can have a multifunctional calculator. You can have a scientific calculator. So these are all very basic examples that you can try. And the key point is that you can actually share it and you can do all these things in Collab Notebook. So this is a very brief overview on Gradio. I believe that you have got a gist of what exactly goes on with Gradio. So now what I'm going to do is, let me go back to the browser. The idea here is that, okay, this entire code notebook that you see here, I have first of all installed various libraries. Usually in all my notebooks, I try to install the most used libraries. So in my case, I primarily use transformers, datasets, and LangChain. So datasets are, the library can pull the various datasets that is available inside Hugging Face Hub. Transformers helps to work with AI models that is also present in Hugging Face Hub. LangChain helps you to work with large language models. And all these libraries and the use cases, I already have separate videos on that, but I just want to share what these particular libraries are about. To begin with, I have some simple Gradio steps. So you have to import Gradio, as you can see here, and then you have to first of all create the function. So this is so initially you will see a one single function, single input, single output app. So I'm going to create a simple function called as greeting, simple function called as greet, and I'm going to create an interface. So this gr.interface is what I was talking about. It's a class that wraps around the function and the inputs and the outputs. So the moment I create the interface and I then launch the app, so launch the class, what will happen is it will automatically create both the input and the output. You don't need to create the text box. So the interface will take care of creating the text box for you. So if I'm going to say as the input as some random word, so obviously you'll see the output here. This is very much abstracted way of working. So here we see that we can build an app which is really fast, and you can also interface with the Python function, but that's not sufficient. So there are lots of things that you can do with this. So this set of examples that it follows, you will be seeing how to work with the text box, how to work with sliders, how to work with checkboxes, and a lot of things. So I'm not going to go step by step through this. I would suggest that you guys can take a look at it one by one. What I am going to do is I'm going to go down to the application or the example that I had written. So all these are examples that is already provided in the QuickStart. If you go to the QuickStart here, and if you click on the QuickStart, you will be able to find all these examples, all the above examples in this QuickStart. So this is nothing new. The point I am trying to make here is, apart from interface, the interface class, there is another one class called as blocks. So inside Gradio, so this particular class provides more freedom in the way you position the elements on top of the front end. Basically, you instantiate the blocks class using gr.blocks as matter or demo or whatever variable you want. So it starts with width. Unlike the interface, if you go to the interface class, where is interface? Just let me, yeah, here is an interface class. So the interface class, the object created by interface class is assigned to a variable, and that variable is used for launching. However, the blocks, on the contrary, is created using width clause, and then the variable is created as a using as keyword. Now, once you create such a with class and as keyword, then below that you can start building the actual interface. So the interface can be built with multiple methods. So you can use Markdown, you can use HTML. So here I use Markdown. You can use the Markdown. So if you are new to Markdown language, so basically it's a text formatting language which is very similar to LaTeX, but it uses very simple symbols to format the text. So by using hashes, asterisks, using hyphens and various other simple symbols, special characters, the text is getting formatted. So you guys can take a look at that. It's very simple to learn. Once you understand that, you can use Markdown, or you can use HTML also. And on top of it, there are some additional parts of the front end, like accordion. So if you come down here, you will see there is some kind of a drop box here. So you can create accordions like this. You can see this is the title that is little bit bolder when compared to the rest. And also you can create placeholders. So if there is no input available in the text box, you can actually create the placeholders. And even the name, if you see here, I have given the text box, I mean the part of this is the name of this part is coming as text box, but in fact you can actually change that also. So all these things is possible by using the various classes, and you see each of the class will have its own set of parameters. So for an example here, the text box is the text box part or the front end part, and this has label, it has values, it can have placeholders, it has its own info, and what kind of maximum and minimum widths. All these activities, all these aspects or the features of the text box can be updated at your own will. Most of the time when you are building it, build it as beautiful as possible. So give as much detail to the text boxes, to the interfaces as possible, so that when someone uses it, they can immediately understand what is going on. And also ensure that you give the variable names that are descriptive of the activity or the purpose of that variable. Like here, I am giving a variable name as verb, and this particular text box is going to get a verb from the user. Same way, the noun, adjective, and adverb. Also, when it comes to the button, I am giving it as a label make mad. So I am trying to create something mad. So I am creating a button with the name make mad. Out comes the output box. So here a mad sentence is given as an output. And then in case of blocks, what happens is you need to initiate an event. So in this case, an event is a click. So once there is a click, the function madlib, so this function, where is the function? This function will get triggered, and the input, all these 4 inputs. So you see the inputs are given as a list of inputs, and ensure that the list of inputs, the number of inputs that you are giving in this list, should be same as the number of parameters the function can take. If you change any of that, then there will be an error. So let us try this. So if I remove this, remove the variables, one of the parameters, and let me execute this. And if you see that immediately there is a warning that is coming up. So expected maximum 3 arguments, but I am planning to give 4 arguments. So that is kind of a warning, and the app will run. So the app will not fail. But once you try to execute it, then there will be error. So I have given 4 inputs that are actually random, and once I click on make mad, you will see that it will try to execute and there is an error, because I am trying to give more data than it is possible. So now if you want, these are the points that I want to really highlight. The amount, the parameter that you give as input and the parameter that you take as outputs should be properly planned. And once you start working with these simple code examples in the beginning, I believe that you will start getting hang of Gradio. And then I believe that you can start going to more complex applications which will involve ML models as well as AI models. In the next video, stay tuned for the next video. We will be working on the chatbot that you can create using Gradio. With that said, I would like to close this video, and do subscribe to my channel for further updates on similar kind of videos on Python open source ecosystem libraries, as well as artificial intelligence and large language models ecosystem. With that said, I would like to leave this video with 4 words, that is practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.